Thank you, Maisel. Well, good afternoon, everyone. I am Maria Ibarra, Business Services Manager, overseeing the Small Business Unit here at Caltrans District 11. I'd like to welcome you to Day 1, Meet the San Diego Public Agency Consortium Partners, also known as PAC Day, of our 17th Annual Procurement and Resource Fair, brought to you again virtually this year. So for those of you who are not familiar with PAC, it is a partnership of regional agencies focused on increasing the diversity of business participation on public agency contracts and procurement. Today's Procurement and Resource Fair is one of the 3 regional networking events that PAC promotes each year to assist with improving small business success in procurement and contracting. Okay, to kick off this event, this year's procurement fair, we gave everyone an opportunity to meet half of the San Diego Public Agency Consortium partners earlier this morning. Now we would like to introduce you to the remaining 8. Today we will have our San Diego Association of Governments, or SANDAG partner. We have the County of San Diego, Port of San Diego, Metropolitan Water District of Southern California, Naval Facilities Engineering Systems Command, or NAVFAC, San Diego Housing Commission, Small Business Development Center, or SBDC, and Procurement Technical Assistance Center, or PTAC. So if you did not have a chance to attend this morning's session, you will still have an opportunity to view it, as we will post a recording of each session to our small business webpage, which we will share the link into our chat box here. And it will be sent to you shortly after the conclusion of our 3-day event. For tomorrow, on day 2 of our event, the morning session will be construction focused, as we will have guest presenters from the district's construction division, maintenance division, and labor compliance. We will also have a Meet the Construction Primes panel, which will include representatives from Hazard Construction, Granite Construction, and Skanska USA Civil. The afternoon session will gear towards architecture and engineering, with a district guest presenter from the Consultant Services Unit. And similar to the morning session, we will have a Meet the A&E Primes panel featuring representatives from TRC Engineering, Kimley Horn, Jacobs, Kleinfelder, and AECOM. Day 3 of our fair will give you the unique opportunity to hear directly from the Caltrans purchasers. We have purchasers from various divisions participating on day 3, and those purchasers will share the description of items they regularly purchase, as well as a list of items or services they are currently interested in procuring and need quotes for. Different purchasers are scheduled at each session, so we encourage you to register for both morning and afternoon sessions. And we are very excited to announce that for the first time, we have also included a pitch to D11 component in each session for our day 3, where we will allow 5 certified companies a 2-minute opportunity to pitch their product, service, or idea to all participants in the session, including Caltrans purchasers. Now that you know what to expect over the 3-day event, I'd like to pass it back to Maisel, who will be introducing our PAC panelists. Maisel.
Thank you, Maria. Let's go ahead and jump right into our first panelist. I'd like to invite Elaine Richardson to the stage. Hi, Elaine.
Hello, Maisel, and thank you to Caltrans for hosting this fantastic outreach event. We really appreciate all the work that you do in connecting all of us with our small and disadvantaged businesses.
Well, thank you, Elaine. We definitely enjoy this partnership with SANDAG. So let's go ahead and get started. If you want to introduce yourself and talk a little bit about your role with the agency.
Great. And hello, everyone. And my name is Elaine Richardson. I'm the Director of Diversity and Equity at SANDAG. And our main goal for our Office of Diversity and Equity is to really break down barriers so small and disadvantaged businesses can do work with us. So that's the main focus.
Perfect. So if you want to explain a little bit more about SANDAG, maybe just a 1-minute speech about what SANDAG is or what they do.
Okay. So the San Diego Association of Governments is a metropolitan planning organization, which we call as our MPO. And we do transportation and planning. And we're dedicated to improving the quality of life for the San Diego region. We have 3 million plus residents here. And I'm sure that you've all probably seen, we're just about to open in November our Mid-Coast Trolley Project, and it's an extension from downtown all the way to UTC. So we're really excited about this. Everybody's like, wow, it looks fabulous. So anyway, so that's been a big project for us over the last 5 years. Our agency is governed by a board of directors composed of mayors, council members, and supervisors from each of the region's 18 cities in the county. And we are the public forum for regional decision making. So there's a lot of decisions that go on with our board of directors.
That sounds like a lot of pressure. So what kind of certifications is, I know that you talked about a project, but what certifications does SANDAG recognize on your projects?
Okay.
And what are your goals for those certifications?
Okay, so for SANDAG, we actually recognize 2 different certifications. The first one is the Disadvantaged Business Enterprise Certification. And if you do receive that certification, you'll be listed in the California Unified Certification Program. And this is a federal program. So there's, you go through either Caltrans or LA Metro or different places that are actually certifying agencies. Because we're a recipient, a direct recipient of federal funding through the Federal Transit Administration, we're required to establish a DBE program with our own goal, and that goal is 9.3%. And it's dropped just a little bit from 10.5 just because we aren't, now that we're almost done with our huge $2 billion project, we're not quite using quite as much FTA funds. We also are a subrecipient of Federal Highway Administration funds through Caltrans. And so we follow their DB program, and their new DB goal is 22.2%. So we'll be inching, hopefully meeting that goal through the procurements that are funded with FHWA. And in addition, we have also set up a small business program for our architecture and engineering and construction management contracts. And that goal is 15%. And that'll be used on all of our state and local task orders. So we're hoping that this will increase more business and participation with our small businesses on our local and state task orders.
Okay, perfect. It sounds like you, SANDAG recognizes a lot of certifications. One thing I know that SANDAG is highly recognized for, and I think it might benefit the audience if you wanted to talk a little bit more about your bench program and how it works.
Oh, perfect. Of course I'll do that. So with these certifications, you are able, so if you can be certified as either DBE or small business, that is one part of getting your foot in the door for our bench programs. And the other part is that you need to be able to do one or more services, of which, like, we have an architecture and engineering bench, and I think there's like 45 services there. For construction management, we have about 25 services. And for planning, I think there's about 15 services. So you just have to be either DBE or small business certified and be able to do one or more service from any of those programs. And then you apply to become a member and register on our bench. So a very brief description of our bench. It's a pool of certified disadvantaged business enterprise and or small businesses that prime consultants can easily access. And by that, I mean that we're just about to execute another series of architecture and engineering. There's going to be 15 contracts there, 8 contracts for construction management. And those primes are going to be issued hundreds of task orders. And so if they're federally funded and or if it's state and local, you can either join as a small business or DBE and get business from them. And so we're about to host a virtual speed networking event, but we have to wait till those contracts are executed. Once the contracts are executed, we're going to be inviting all of the bench firms to connect in a virtual speed networking event with our primes. And so that's why I highly encourage anyone out there today that can be certified and registered on our bench, which is the A&E and construction management, to get certified and registered as soon as possible. And so those joining the bench program can visit our bench program website. And I'm going to put some of this information in the chat so you don't have to remember all this. But you can email sbcoordinator@sandag.org for more information.
Thank you, Elaine. So you talk about so many opportunities that are coming through the pipelines. Where can the audience find these opportunities?
So where you find them is we actually on our website, we post an upcoming projects list or procurements list. And so where we can find them is I'm going to tell you what some of them are, but that list will tell you when we're bidding, what type of procurement it is, and what type of services are needed. So coming up, we have, and so these should be posted during this month, financial advisory services. Oh wait, I need to start at the beginning. On-call electrical services, commercial real estate broker. This is a big one, on-call communication services. We executed almost 30 contracts for small businesses on this one. So that's a big one coming up. Presentation media training, on-call generator maintenance and repair. And then for construction, we have several bikeway projects, and those are actually smaller projects, so they're good for smaller construction firms. They're not like our mega $2 billion project. And then for goods and equipment, we have performance management software, which is a $700,000 procurement, and roadway safety and science, which I know that's been on for a long time, but hopefully it does go out. So that's some of the procurements that are coming up.
Sounds like SANDAG is going to be busy for a while.
Yeah.
So, Elaine, do you have any best tips or advice for companies out there that are trying to or want to do business with SANDAG for the first time?
Well, first of all, definitely try to get your certifications, because if you can be DB or small business certified, that's one foot in the door. The next thing is you just need to be proactive. You know, look at our list, see when we're bidding, and especially for construction, because we have, you know, pre-proposal and pre-bid meetings, and you can attend those meetings and come in and meet. Now that we're not quite back to in-person meetings, but once we do that, I mean, there's also virtual meetings. You can see who all the primes are that are bidding. You can tell even from our, you know, on our website, you can tell when you're linked into the actual pre-bid meeting, who's bidding, so that you can meet them and say, hey, I'm a DBE or a small business that can do this type of work that you may need on this project. And don't just send out emails and marketing materials. It's really good to try to make that contact by phone, etc., so that you can initially get that first word in to say, hey, I'm here to help you. Here's my qualifications, etc. And definitely these types of events that Caltrans is putting on today will definitely get you that link into many different agencies that have work for you.
All right, so you hear it, folks, the best ways to get into SANDAG.
Yeah.
I'd like to bring Alma out to see if there's any questions from the audience that we can direct to Elaine.
All right. Hi, Elaine. We don't have too many questions, but one question that did stand out to me from the last session was, you know, some folks, they get a little discouraged once a project is awarded. They think, hey, you know, the primes have already selected their teams. Or the professional service folks, they already know who they're going to work with. Would that be the case for SANDAG? Would there still be opportunities for small businesses to jump on board a project once kind of the project is underway?
Yeah, so the main way to do that is through our bench program. Once a proposal's been submitted and they've listed all of their team members, we really can't change that. It's only if some new scope is written, and let me tell you, that happens quite a bit. where, a contract's amended and new scope is written. But that's why we developed this whole bench program, because prior to the bench, we had we'd issue maybe 15 contracts, and that was the only opportunity for DBEs to get on those contracts. Well, now that we issue hundreds of task orders, they have hundreds of opportunities to get work on that contract. So that's why we believe the bench is much more beneficial for a higher and participation and increased participation from small and disadvantaged businesses.
Excellent. And we have two more questions that have just come in. One quick question, of course, related to SANDAG and a lot of things that have to do with transit and public participation or public transportation. Do you have a contact for traffic management procurements, or do you have contracts that you actually post for traffic management procurements?
So I do know for traffic management, that is usually a component of our construction projects, etc. So we don't have actual contracts just doing, that manage that. But that again is a great way for a prime to say, oh, for traffic management, there's a lot of DBEs that can do traffic management, that they can break that work out. And as if you're part of the bench, then you should be contacted by a prime. But once you're on the bench, it's not just, oh, wait for a prime to call. You still have to reach out to the primes and say, hey, I can do traffic management. Can I help you with this?
Okay, perfect. SANDAG is real popular because we have a few more questions that have been coming in. Some folks, they've been asking, about the DGS contract with CMAS and LPA awards. Does SANDAG jump on board with CMAS contracts or LPA agreements?
Yeah, we're really not allowed, and this is because of our federal funding requirement. So we don't participate in CMAS or any of those types of, we just aren't able to do any type of piggybacking, et cetera. And that has come from different audits that we've gone through with our federal agencies. So no, we're not able to participate.
Okay. And you talk a lot about your bench program. Is there an equivalent for suppliers as far as the bench program goes?
We don't have a supplier just because the supplier services, materials, et cetera, those usually are part of whatever, if it's a construction project, et cetera. That is something that maybe in a future date, we could look into. But at this point, we don't have a separate program for suppliers. But I can tell you, based upon what has occurred on our Mid-Coast project, because we oversee everything, especially like a big project like Mid-Coast. And we were able to use 109 DBEs, and many of those were suppliers. So I do know that it is the responsibility of the prime to do this, but they know how important it is to us to use DBE. So a big thing is if you can get registered in our database, that should be the first step towards getting work with us.
Excellent. And last question for you today, Elaine. We have some folks that are asking, are there set asides for A&E CM contracts for small business firms?
We don't really have set asides, but I can tell you for the first time ever, we didn't really come out and say it was a set aside, but we designated 5 small contracts to go to small businesses, because before we weren't able to do that. It was like anybody could bid on the small contract portion of our A&E. And this time they had to be registered as a small business through the Department of General Services. So that we are in the process of executing 5 small contracts on the architecture and engineering on call.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Elaine. I know that was a lot of questions for you, but SANDAG is always a popular agency, so we appreciate you answering the questions. Back to you, Maysel.
Thank you,
Right,
Alma.
thank you, Alma. Thank you, Elaine. I'll go ahead and introduce our next panelist. We have Judy Yang from the County of San Diego. Hi, Judy. I saw you and I just missed you.
Sorry, I have a little bit of a lag with the video, so it looked like it was turning off when it was turning on. Anyway,
No
sorry about that.
Well, welcome, Judy. If you wanted to introduce yourself and talk a little bit about your role with the county.
Yeah, absolutely. So, hi everyone. I am Judy Yang. I am the program manager here with the County of San Diego Department of Purchasing and Contracting, and I oversee our outreach and education activities. So, anything in terms of our public relations with small businesses and really reaching out to diverse firms, that's going to be through my office. And I also run our internal training program for our contract administrators.
Perfect. So can you describe a little bit what the County of San Diego does? What are they responsible for? Just a little bit more about the agency.
Sure. So the County of San Diego is a very large agency in the region. We have about 40 departments organized into 4 major groups. So the groups are Health and Human Services. So they obviously do everything from public health, behavioral health, child welfare services. We also have our Land Use and Environment group. So Parks and Recs is a part of that group, as is the library. Our Planning and Development Services team is part of LUGE, as well as Public Works. The third group is our Public Safety group. So the sheriff, probation, district attorney, all those types of departments would be under Public Safety. And then finally, Finance and Government group, which includes us, Department of Purchasing, Contracting, Accounting, all those internal type of services. So obviously with a very broad range of roles and large departments, we do have also a similarly broad range and diverse procurement spend.
It sounds like you touched on so many departments that I didn't even know was under the county. So because you mentioned that there's a broad range of procurements that happens in the agency, what type of certifications does the county recognize, and what are your goals for those certifications?
Absolutely. So the good news for the County of San Diego is that we don't have our own separate certification. So we use other agencies. So hopefully they're ones that are common and that you likely already have. So there's 2 agencies certifications that we primarily rely on. The first one is the California State Department of General Services. They have a small business certification, so that's one that we accept. And also the Disabled Veteran Business Enterprise, the DVBE certification, that we also accept. The other certification or certifying agency is the U.S. Veteran Affairs. They certify veteran-owned businesses, so those certifications would qualify for us as well.
Okay, perfect. Do you have any goals for those specific certifications?
Yeah, so not specific. We don't have specific targets in terms of contracting goals. However, obviously the reason that we accept those certifications is to make sure that we're promoting local small business and diverse business.
What are the benefits of having those certifications on your projects?
Yeah, so the main one is the county does have a 5% price preference. So if you are a certified small business or veteran-owned business, you do get a 5% price preference on your bids and your proposals. And that went into effect January 2020. We actually have had several proposals and bids that flipped because of that 5%. So it has been effective in supporting our local small business and certified businesses. The other is from time to time, we do have set-asides for small business and veteran-owned businesses, and you would need to be certified under one of those categories or one of those certifications to be able to apply for those set-asides.
Okay, nice. I'm excited to ask because you said there's so many diversified departments of your agency. So what types of procurements or contracts does the county have, and where can you find these opportunities?
So we buy just about everything, and something I was surprised to learn when I first started with the Department of Purchasing and Contracting. So we buy pretty much anything you can think of under the sun, we buy. So, or we contract out. So translation services is a recent one that I saw go out. We have a number of new offices starting up. Obviously some offices looking at equity in our communities, our diversity, and also our climate and environmental activities. And those new offices, a lot of them are hiring consultants to either help them with staffing or to develop their strategic plans going out and engage with the community. So those are some services. Obviously, with the pandemic and our public health department, we have had a lot of contracts related to the pandemic, whether it's testing, other health services. We have homeless, housing and homeless services is another one, shelters. So pretty much anything. And any given day, if you go to our vendor portal, which I'll put the link into the chat after, you will see anywhere in the range from 30 to 50 different things that we're actively looking to buy or contract out. And that list changes daily. So you might see things like it might be vehicles for our fleet, might be uniforms, could be clothing for some of our residential services and our clients. So really just about anything, and it changes every single day. So yeah, so you definitely want to make sure you're checking your event portal and you're registered so that the system can just let you know when there's something posted that might be of interest to you.
That definitely sounds like a very beneficial link to bookmark if you haven't already. So before we jump into some questions, Judy, do you have any best advice or tips for anyone that's trying to do business with the county for the first time?
Sure. So probably the biggest thing for us is a lot of times we'll see companies are just starting out with government contracting. The amount of documentation and things that you need to go through is pretty overwhelming, especially when you're first getting started. But I do strongly advise that you take the time to make sure that you're reading through that full solicitation package, even if it's a bit lengthy, because we have had in the past very, very strong bidders or proposals that came in, and we really liked them and they were really great candidates, except they missed an important form, a mandatory form that they didn't sign, or there was something that we asked for in the package that they just forgot, and that disqualified them from that process or from that contract. And it is so heartbreaking to see like a really great and promising small business that basically had all the things that we needed, but they missed dotting that I, crossing that T, and then they got disqualified. So just make sure that when you are going through the solicitations, it's probably in your best interest to pick just one or two, or the ones that you think you're most competitive with, and spend more time making sure you're thorough with those applications than trying to submit haphazard or mediocre applications across a lot of different things. And you should find more success that way.
That is definitely a good point. I think that goes for all government agencies. Just follow instructions. As tedious as it might be just to follow those minor instructions, but they all matter when it's solicitation. Thank you, Judy. And I'd like to invite Alma back out to see if there's any questions that Judy can answer for the audience.
Sure. So to start, Judy, your site where you post all your procurement, is that where we can find all of the contracts, like all of the stuff that you mentioned, you know, the professional services to the construction services? Will all of those opportunities be posted on the same site?
So I love that question, and the answer is yes. So County of San Diego does have centralized procurement, which means anything that any of the departments want to purchase will be posted to that BuyNet site that I just put the link into the chat for. So make sure you visit that page and bookmark it. We are 90% of our contracting and procurements are competitively bid, meaning over 90% of the things that we buy will be posted, and anyone that's interested will have an opportunity to bid on it. So we do make sure that everyone has an opportunity to apply for our County of San Diego contracts.
That's great to hear, because, you know, sometimes folks get a little discouraged when they say, well, the county, you know, or any other public agency for that matter, they probably already have their favorites and they just kind of create a contract on the side for them. But, you know, you're letting us know right now that 90% of those opportunities are actually posted publicly and bid publicly. So that gives a lot of new folks an opportunity to bid as well. Perfect. And I know that you've been hosting a How to Do Business opportunity or workshop series. Could you tell us a little bit more about that and how folks can sign up if they wish to, you know, still sign up for those opportunities?
Yes, absolutely. So in partnership with the Small Business Development Center and Cheryl Brown specifically, who you'll hear from later in this session, we've hosted a series of workshops. They're once a month on the first Wednesday of the month from 11 to 1 p.m. And each workshop goes through a specific topic about the procurement process for County of San Diego. So everything from how to walking through the BuyNet vendor portal to make sure that you know where to find all the things and where all the documents are located, to how to respond to one of our solicitation packages. So all that kind of support is there. Now, I'll go ahead and put our county website there. When you go to our county public website, from that front page, you'll see a list of all our outreach activities, including the workshops and the schedule and registration links. So that way you can sign up for the ones that you're interested in.
Perfect. All right. Those are all the questions that we have for Judy today. Thank you, Judy, and back to Maisel.
Thank you so much, Judy. Thank you, Alma. Let's go ahead and jump in and introduce our next panelist. We have Shirley Hurai with the Port of San Diego. Hi, Shirley.
Hi, Maisel and everyone else.
Well, welcome. If you wanted to introduce yourself, Shirley, and just talk a little bit about your role. I know that your title recently changed, so if you wanted to talk about what you do for the Port of San Diego.
Sure. And thank you very much for having us and having this great event. My name is Shirley Hurai. I'm the Manager of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. And what that entails at the port is all the civil rights programs. So employment, contracting, labor compliance, prevailing wage, and also the Americans with Disabilities Act. And as Maysel mentioned, we did just change our structure here at the district to elevate diversity, equity, and inclusion, and to provide the appropriate number of resources to the staffing and to the function at the district.
Sounds like you're over a lot of departments, Shirley. So we all, when you hear the port, you think of the water, and I see it on your logo, Waterfront Opportunity. If you want to talk a little bit about what the Port of San Diego does.
Sure. Yeah, we are a special district that was set up by the state of California. And our jurisdiction is the San Diego Bay area surrounding San Diego Bay. So we touch 5 different cities: Coronado, Chula Vista, Imperial Beach, National City, and of course San Diego. And basically we oversee the coastal tidelands around San Diego Bay. We consider ourselves to be sort of an economic engine to the area. We have maritime operations. We're environmental stewards, so we want to protect the wildlife and the water and the air. We're public safety, as we have our own police department. And we want to provide experiences to residents and tourists alike. So we want to bring everybody out to the waterfront.
Nice. That's great to hear. I know that you said your department is over diversity and equity. Are there certification requirements on your procurements and contracts? And what are those goals if you do have them?
Yeah, so we do have a small business program at the Port of San Diego, and that is a big portion of our program. And under that, we want to make sure that anyone that wants to do business with the port has equal opportunity to participate. And when I say small business, I mean diverse businesses as well. Minority-owned business, women-owned business, disabled veteran business, veteran-owned business, LGBTQ-owned businesses, everyone. We want to be all inclusive, and we do track things to make sure that, you know, we are targeting our all of our audiences and communities, and identify areas where we need to improve, and also to identify barriers to all of our contracting. Our goals are on a project by project basis. However, we do have sort of an overall strive to meet for an example, things that are out there, like the state of California has 25% small business contracting under everything, and then the 5% disabled veteran business enterprise. So again, those are sort of overall, and we do look at projects on a case-by-case basis and set goals or offer bonus points as an incentive to include small and diverse businesses.
Okay, so is there any other benefits besides receiving bonus points for having those certifications?
I think one area of benefit would be potential partnering and joint venturing, or connecting with other bigger businesses that might be interested in a project. I forgot to mention that we do not have our own certification, but we do accept other agency certifications, very similar to what Judy was explaining. DGS is a big one, Caltrans is a big one, City of San Diego, local small business. So we're trying to be as open and inclusive with regards to certification. So if we do have a goal, or if we are offering bonus points on our solicitation, that we're hoping that incentivizes the prime contractors to reach out to the small business community or to others that they have not generally reached out to, rather than going to the same companies that they normally go to, that are tried and true. Agreed. But you don't know what you're missing unless you go out and find out. And so reach out to the other businesses as well, and be incentivized by meeting our goals or getting bonus points, which could impact the evaluation and where you stand in our recommendations.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. Networking is a very high key component to be able to get on those projects, to network and partner with other agencies or businesses. So what type of contracts does the port put out, or procurements do they typically have in your agency?
Yeah, I would like to say probably anything that you would see from a city, our jurisdiction is just a little bit different and more narrowly tailored, but a lot of waterfront things, things that are associated with piers, police force, maritime. Some of the things that I've seen come up and heard mentioned were translation, photography, aerial photography as well. Veterinarian, we do have a canine team as well, and we also have oysters that we take care of. All kinds of consulting from legal, audit, engineering, environmental, COVID testing is kind of relevant right now. Parking pay stations, courier services. So a lot of different things. Not exactly everything under the sun, but anything that you would see a regular company would have to operate, from office supplies, IT, environmental, marketing and communications, things like that.
So where can the audience find those procurements or the solicitations you just talked about?
So good question. We do use Planet Bids. So anything that we do require advertising will be posted on Planet Bids. Now we do have a dollar threshold, and it depends on what type of product or service that we are procuring, but generally anything under 70,000 may be something that could be directly negotiated. And so what I tell people, because they want to get their foot in the door, and if it's not advertised, how do you do that? Make sure you get registered with us in Planet Bids. We tell everyone internally that we have the Planet Bids database, and we try to direct everybody who wants to do business with us to that database so that at least we can find you. And so if I'm looking for a $50,000 translation service company, or transcription company, then I can go to Planet Bids, type in translation, transcription, and a list of businesses that have registered will show up. And it'll even tell me, you know, what their economic status is, small business, minority-owned business, etc. And internally, we are trying to make sure that everyone understands that small business means diverse businesses as well, and that we don't want to go to the same companies over and over again, because we don't know what we may be missing, a better price or a better product or a better service. So we need to be open and welcoming of all businesses.
I'm glad you mentioned Planet Bid, Shirley, because there are several agencies that use the Planet Bid system. So I did want to emphasize that if you're interested in looking for opportunities with the Port of San Diego, you want to be registered specifically with the Port's portal, as each agency that does utilize Planet Bids have their own portal. So I know that you mentioned that there is a good, that you do keep everything open to different businesses just so you don't miss any opportunities. Are there any other best advice or tips that you have for companies out there that are trying to do business with the Port?
Yeah, we just camp on to what everybody else has already said. You know, read the solicitation, ask for a debrief. If you are not successful, then please ask for a debrief. We're more than happy to meet with individuals and share feedback. Take advantage of the information exchanges and the pre-bids. Also, take advantage of the information from Planet Bids. You can see all the documentation associated with any particular solicitation. You can see who has picked up the solicitation. You can see who attended the pre-bid. Maybe an opportunity to really get together with those that are really serious about the project. A lot of our work is repetitive, so maybe every 3 to 5 years the same solicitation kind of comes out. So you can at the appropriate time look at the past responses to see, you know, if your costs are competitive, or see the different layouts that were provided. So take advantage of all the information that is out there. We are a public agency, so transparency is very important. It is just sort of the key to find the information, and utilize your advocates. You know, all of us small business managers, we're here to help you be successful. So what questions do you have? You know, tap on us to help you guide through all of the information that's out there, because it can get quite complex and confusing when all you want to know is one thing. So yeah, utilize us.
Your first key point was actually very excellent, because a lot of businesses out there don't know that they can ask for feedback or a debrief on projects. So I think that's a definitely really great tip for everyone in the audience today. Thank you, Shirley. Is there any questions, Alma, for Shirley today from the audience?
Hi there. Actually, we don't have any questions posted at this time, but I do want to reiterate something that Shirley said. Use the small business representatives as a source. Even if like, hey, I know this question isn't necessarily something Shirley can answer, but sometimes even agencies, Shirley always says, oh, our projects are so much smaller than all of the other agencies' projects. But still, the port is still a big agency. If I just have a payment question, I don't know who to, email. So my first contact would be Shirley. Let me start with Shirley, and hopefully, she can save me some time, and she knows the port much better than I do. So start with the folks that are here. Start with the small business representatives, and they'll do their best to kind of guide you and at least point you in the right direction to get your question answered. So just wanted to reiterate that. Thank you so much for that point, Shirley. And seeing that no questions have come in during this time, I think you are relieved of your duties.
All right, thank you.
All right, back to you,
Thank you,
Maisel.
Alma.
Thank you, Shirley.
Thank you, Shirley. I think Alma says it like the best way possible. Using our PAC partners as resources are key, just because we already have the face that we're introducing you to get you into each agency and how to segue through their agency specifically. Thank you, Shirley, again. And I'd like to introduce our next panelist. It's Lydia Mcgee with Metropolitan Water District of Southern California. Hi, Lydia. How are you?
Hi, I am fine. Thank you for having me, and Metropolitan Water District as well, and for putting on this event. It's great.
Well, we appreciate your participation. If you wanted to introduce yourself, Lydia, and kind of talk a little bit about what you do for Metropolitan.
Yes, my name is Lydia Mcgee, and I'm the Principal Public Affairs Representative in Metropolitan's Business Outreach Team. Basically, through the Business Outreach Team, what I do, I have responsibility for the internal in-reach as well as external outreach. And through the program, I basically promote business and economic development in the area of contracting opportunities for our regional small and disabled veteran business program. And basically represent metropolitan and industry groups, professional organizations, and supplier diversity advocacy groups, demonstrating MWD's commitment to partner and assist in the development of small business capacity building.
Nice. So if you could just explain a little bit what MWD entails, or what do they, what is their jurisdiction? What are you responsible for?
Absolutely. Well, a little about Metropolitan. I always say whenever you're seeking to do business with an organization, it's very important that you understand what they're all about and what they do. Metropolitan Water District is basically the nation's largest regional wholesaler of water, serving our 26 member agencies. Our member agencies consist of 14 cities, 11 municipal water districts, and 1 county water authority, who in turn provide water directly or indirectly to 19 million people located in our 6-county service area, which includes Los Angeles, San Diego, Orange County, Riverside, San Bernardino, some parts of San Diego, and Ventura counties. The service area covers 5,200 square miles, and that ranges from Ventura County to the Mexican border. And basically, it represents an economy of basically $1 trillion within that regional economy.
Thank you, Lydia, for all that information. Your footprint is a lot larger than I actually thought it was. So it gives me a really good perspective of what MWD covers. So can you explain us a little bit, or describe if you have any certifications that you recognize, or if there's goals for those specific certifications?
Absolutely. First of all, we have a 25% utilization goal, which means 25% of our contracting dollars go to SBEs or DVBEs, and that was set by our board of directors. We accept 2 certifications, the SBE Small Business Enterprise and the DVBE Disabled Veteran Business Enterprise, through actually the state of California, DGS, we do have reciprocity with them. Metropolitan has one certification, and that's the SBE certification that we can actually certify businesses. But of course, we do accept, if you have certification with DGS, SBE, and DVBE, we accept that. One unique thing about our certification process, we go through planted bids. If you have all your information, pretty much your NAICS codes, NIGP codes, it takes you less than 30 minutes to get enter your information on our in our Planet Bids portal. The turnaround time is 48 hours if everything's in place. But then if you have the DGS certifications, it makes it a lot faster than that.
Thank you, Lydia. And just to the audience, Lydia did talk about two different types of small business certifications. One's through MWD and one's from DGS. Definitely, I think it's a good idea to take note of what agency is saying which certifications they recognize, because although certifications do sound the same, the certifying agencies that they recognize from might be different. So thank you for notating that, Lydia.
Yes.
Are there any benefits on your contracts for having those certifications?
Absolutely. There are incentives if you're a small business or a disabled vet, or even a regional business enterprise. Regional means your business has located within our service area for at least a year. There are incentives. So there are incentives off, I want to make sure I say this right. So there are incentives for professional services, which can be 5% scoring preferences if you're a small business or a disabled vet, and then 5% preference if you're a regional business located within our service area. On the procurement contracts, there's a 5% reduction credit on your procurement bids, and 5% reduction if you're regional, for a max of $25,000 on those procurements. So that makes the playing field even for small businesses or disabled vets that are competing with, large companies.
That's great. Speaking of procurements and contracts, what can we expect from MWD, maybe upcoming, or what's currently on the street?
What's currently on the streets, the best place to go is our website, but I'm just going to go briefly. I had it on another computer and the screen just kind of went
to sleep.
Yeah, but I can tell you some that are of interest, may be of interest. We have our Wi-Fi upgrade at headquarters. There's a janitorial contract at our headquarters, Union Station. Numerous construction bids that are on our website right now. But one thing I wanted to mention also, our engineering construction management team is going to have an event on November 5th, and they're going to basically give a look ahead of all of those construction contracts that are upcoming, and that's going to be for large and small. That includes small contracts for subcontractors or general contractors, as well as the primes.
Thank you, Lydia. If you have a copy of that link and drop it into the chat, I think that would be definitely a great benefit for people that are interested in looking at opportunities at MWD.
Okay. One thing I wanted to mention too, my contact information is at the bottom of our website too, just in case, if you need to reach it, at the very bottom of our webpage, www.mwdh2o, letter O like oxygen.com. If you go all the way to the end of our website, business outreach, and if you click on my name, that's my email address.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Lydia. Do you have any tips or best advice for anyone that's trying to do business with MWD?
Yes, I would definitely say the key takeaway is, number one, our website. Get registered. If you're a small business and you want to get certified, if you're not in our database, Planet Bids, we don't know you exist. For those bid opportunities under that threshold level of 75,000, our people do search our database looking for small businesses or those opportunities that don't necessarily go out for bid, those small acquisition purchases. So it's so important to get registered, and then if you're small business certified in our database.
Perfect. Thank you for sharing that information, Lydia. Alma, is there any questions that Lydia can answer from the audience today?
Yes, actually, we have a couple of questions that have come in. The first one is very relevant to, current things going on in the world. Emergency services, right? Emergency preparedness. Patty would like to know if MWD has an emergency preparation plan for supplies should a disaster happen and all systems stopped, or we have to stop all the systems. Could you give us some information on whether or not MWD has a plan like this, is procuring for any type of emergency supplies, things of that nature?
We do have an office for emergency preparedness. In fact, as a wholesaler of water, that's critical. I mean, that's something we have to do. We provide over 50% of the water through to Southern California, whether directly or indirectly by our member agencies, but we do have that. Some of the services, a lot of services are done in-house, but we do have opportunities that go on the outside. And a good example was when we went into the COVID environment. Everyone was rushing for things that we didn't know we needed. So yes, we do. But, we also have things that go out for bid also. Yes. Or sometimes they don't under that threshold level.
Right. Excellent.
Yes.
So then folks that want a little bit more detail on this, could they reach out to you directly?
Absolutely.
Excellent. So they'll reach out to you,
Absolutely.
then maybe you can connect them with who they need to talk to. Perfect. Excellent. And then the next question is, you mentioned some certifications. I think it was DBE. Do you also accept the SBE certification if you're certified with DGS, for example?
Yes, absolutely. DGS does the certifying for the Disabled Veteran Business Enterprise. We accept that, as well as DGS's Small Business Enterprise SBE, and then we have our SBE as well. The difference is if you have our SBE certification and you're in our database, you'll get notifications, the bid notifications. Even though we accept DGS's certification, when something goes out, that goes toward those incentives for you to get those incentives, but you won't get our bid notifications if you're not in our database.
Excellent. So the certification is just step one. They need to actually sign up to the Planet Bids database on your portal as well.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you, Lydia. Those are all the questions that we have for MWD today. Always great talking to you. Back to you, Maisel.
All right. Thank you, Lydia. Thank you, Alma. I'd like to introduce our next panelist. We have Anthony Phillips from Naval Facilities Engineering Systems Command, also known as NAVFAC. Hi, Anthony.
Hi, how you doing?
Doing well. Thanks for coming today.
Thank you for having me here.
It's a pleasure. I always have you here. If you wanted to introduce yourself and talk a little bit about what you do for NAVFAC.
Yes, my name is Anthony Phillips, and I'm the Deputy for Small Business for NAVFAC Southwest. In my office, I oversee 16 different field offices that at each field office, they have a part-time small business specialist that handles each office's projects or acquisition strategies. We do have certifications that we follow from the federal government: small business, small disadvantaged business, veteran-owned, women-owned, service-disabled veterans, and hub zones. We have goals set for those. However, they haven't come down yet for fiscal year 22. So we try to meet them and fluctuate our awards so we can meet them as much. What I might suggest to the audience is, if they're a small business, then make sure that they are checking their SAM profiles on sam.gov and make sure that it matches their dynamic small business search profile in the Small Business Administration. That's our number one place that we go to start our market research. And then from there, we just go out. We'll go out for solicitations, sources sought notices. We post all those on the sam.gov website so they can be aware of what's out there.
So, so our audience is kind of aware if their company is the best fit for NAVFAC. Can you describe a little bit what your agency is, and maybe also talk about any contracts and procurements that you might have or that's upcoming that might be of best interest?
Well, we're mainly a construction company or a construction command. However, we do have an environmental department that does compliance and remediation. We also have a public services department that they do facility services, professional services within, as far as construction manager, project management, stuff like this. The main thing that we look at, and I would emphasize, is make sure that the when these companies go up and they look on the different websites, make sure that their profiles are correct and their NAICS codes are correct, because that's where we focus everything at right there.
Okay, so you talk about the SAM website. Is that also where they can find opportunities, or do you have the opportunities posted somewhere else?
No, that's the primary site that I would go to see any solicitations or sources sought. And we also put award announcements up there with point of contact information to the prime contractors. So if somebody wants to sub, they can go up that way.
Okay, sounds good. I think you cut off a little bit there, but I think you said that SAM was the SAM website's the primary place that they would go to.
Yes.
Okay. So do you have any best advice for anyone that's looking into doing business with NAVFAC and haven't done or approached NAVFAC in the past?
Nothing that hasn't been mentioned already. I mean, you want to make sure that you read the solicitations that come out. And you want to make sure that you know exactly what, well, not exactly, but you want to know what it is you're looking to contract for, what you want to get out of it. What they can do, and I'll make my contact information available. If they want to go and get in touch with me, I can send them out a listing of all the 16 field offices so they can go directly to them to find out if there's more unique, smaller projects at those different field offices that they can possibly tap into.
I definitely think that list would benefit a lot of our audience. So if you could share that, we would be happy to distribute to them.
I'll be more than happy to.
All right. Thank you, Anthony. Is there any questions that Anthony can answer from the audience today, Alma?
Sure. I think this is a question that a few folks are going to be happy to hear about. So, hi, Anthony. We have a question about setting up a capabilities briefing with NAVFAC Southwest. If someone wants to kind of just talk to someone about, you know, their capabilities, what their company does, the services they can provide to NAVFAC Southwest, would that be something that would be possible? And if so, how can someone go about that?
Yes, it's possible. They can send me an email with a simple attachment on it. I don't need nothing fancy, just a description of their company, their primary and secondary NAICS codes, their bonding capacity, and the point of contact information. And what I will do is I will forward that to all 16 field offices. And then in turn, I will provide them with a listing of point of contact information for all the field offices so they can talk to them individually.
Got it. So the big picture will be that, you know, they're going to have to kind of get in contact with the field offices, since the field offices are probably more familiar with the contracts that are going out, and every opportunity. So they're going to have to do a little bit of homework before they actually get that capabilities briefing, it sounds like.
Yes. Yeah. The field offices, they have that's basically where the rubber meets the road. They put together the task orders and the smaller projects. Downtown where I am, the contracting teams down there, they award the large multiple award construction contract, the multiple award service contracts that the field offices tap into for the different task orders.
Excellent. All right. But it sounds like you're a great contact to start with. So, folks, you have Anthony's email address, and it looks like we had a little bit of a typo on the slide initially. So it is Phillips. I think it was Philip D on the slide, but we've posted the correct email address in the chat. So make sure you contact Anthony if you have any other questions. Other than that, oh, looks like we do have a few more that just popped in.
Okay.
Paul has been told in the past that NAVFAC doesn't make IT purchases. Is it that's still the case?
Yes, we're not an IT purchaser, if you would say. What I would suggest for those individuals is I'd contact either GSA or maybe NAVWAR, which used to be SPAWAR. They have vehicles in place for IT purchases.
Got it. Excellent. And how about erosion control? You know, there's a lot of erosion control that's needed over at Camp Pendleton. Is there someone or maybe someone directly from one of the field offices that someone can contact for erosion control supplies?
They can have them send me, or whoever's asking those questions, go ahead and send me an email and I will put you in contact with the environmental department, and I'll get a hold of my part-time small business professional up at Camp Pendleton.
Excellent.
And see if they have any contact info or know of any projects that are coming up.
Excellent. All right, Patrick. So you heard it from Anthony for your question on erosion control. Make sure to reach out to him and he'll get you connected with the folks from Camp Pendleton. All right. And that is it for the direct questions right now. If there's any more questions, please feel free to email Anthony directly, and we will get back to Maysel. Thank you, Anthony.
Thank you. Y'all have a good day.
Thank you, Anthony. Thank you, Alma. Let's go ahead and introduce our next panelist. We actually have two representing San Diego Housing Commission. We have Cole Carey and we also have Ina Walters. Cole, if you wanted to introduce yourself, and Ina vice versa, and explain a little bit more about, I know that you have different roles with the agency, if you want to explain what you do for San Diego Housing Commission.
Yeah, so I'll explain what the commission does first. So the San Diego Housing Commission is a federally funded agency responsible for providing affordable, safe, quality homes to low and moderate income families and individuals throughout the city. And we also provide opportunities for them to improve the quality of life of their families, of the communities that we serve. So the SDHC is actually also assisted in carrying out these responsibilities by independent contractors and vendors. We rely on them pretty heavily. So we're committed to providing universal access to our procurement opportunities for all types of businesses, both small and large. So what I do, what my position is, I'm a procurement and contracts analyst. So any services that we need, a department comes to me, and I carry out the process from beginning to end, whether it's contract negotiation or contract execution.
All right.
My name is
Ina?
Yes, my name is Ina Walters. I am the Equal Opportunity Contracting Analyst at the San Diego Housing Commission. I am ultimately responsible for creating opportunities for small and diverse businesses. So.
All right, sounds like you have two different roles, but they do correlate somehow. And it sounds like certifications might be one of those correlations. Can one of you explain to me what certifications the Housing Commission recognizes, and if there's any goals for any of those certifications on your procurements?
Yes, I can. So San Diego Housing Commission is committed to the utilization of the following businesses that I'll go over. In all procurement, contracting, and financing activities administered by the Housing Commission and by contractors, including our developers, on any projects where SDH funding is allocated. So those diverse businesses include DVBEs, DBEs, MBEs, WBEs, ELBEs, SLBEs, and SBs. We do not have goals specifically, but we highly encourage the use of diverse businesses. And although we don't have goals, we do make a great effort to include these businesses in our contracting. And so our participation, we're probably somewhere I believe it's like 5 to 7% participation that we have. So we do well without having the go. So
that's really good to hear. And it sounds like the commission does accept so many different certifications. So there should be a lot of opportunities.
Yes, there is. And we have our own certification. And so that's 5 to 7% for our diverse businesses. We also have our own certification, which is our Section 3 certification. So if anyone's interested in that, I can, I don't think that I've added information about that, but since I've opened my mouth about it, I can make sure that you get the email to our Section 3 certification staff.
Perfect. Thank you, Ina. So this might be a question more specifically for Cole. What type of items or procurements does the commission do?
Yeah, so we're almost in everything. That's construction, consulting, professional services. Starting off with construction, rehab. We do lots of rehab through our development services team, and also our property management team does many things from drywall, plumbing, electrical, painting, flooring, roofing, anything you can think of, basically. That relates to housing. And we also have some offices as well that need services, from garage gates to parking management services. We also do temporary employment services. We like to get that under contract, as well as we also have NOFAs for developers that are interested in those.
You definitely have some procurements that I didn't expect the commission to have. So that's definitely very beneficial information. If I was a company, how do I get notifications from the commission on your solicitations?
So we go through Planet Bids along with many of the others that are on here. We want to make sure that everybody has a chance. So whenever we're required to notify vendors of that, we put it on Planet Bids. So that's requests for proposals, invitation for bids, requests for qualifications, and or NOFAs. Those all go through Planet Bids. So to access those formal solicitations, vendors need to create a new profile if they're not registered with us already. And you need to go specifically to the San Diego Housing Commission's page there on Planet Bids, even if they're registered with another public agency. We want to make sure that everybody has a chance. So even contracts or solicitations that we aren't required to go out to bid for and post those publicly, we actually do look at our Planet Bid site fairly often. I've done it within the last 24 hours and put together a spreadsheet of vendors to send to some of our people. So that's the best way to do it.
That's great. That's actually really great advice and tips. Do either of you have any more advice or tips for anyone that's looking to do work with the commission for the first time?
Yes, I do. So the best advice that I can give is to get certified for all the certifications that the commission might accept. One will do, but depending on the funding or the project and its funding, there may be different requirements. So some projects require an emphasis on WBEs, where another project may be looking for DBEs. And so it's whatever the funding dictates which certifications are needed for that particular project. Definitely register on Planet Bids to receive automatic notifications of solicitations. Attend pre-bid, pre-proposal, pre-construction meetings, so that you can become familiar with our requirements and our processes. And so, and also request assistance. If you don't understand a solicitation or having trouble with completing documentation, we're available to assist you. And also the certifications, Tamar B, TAMARB at SDHC.org. That's Tamar Blanco. And she is responsible for certifying Section 3 business concerns. And so what that Section 3 is designed to create opportunities for low income business owners and businesses that employ low-income workers. But it's possible that a worker can make up to $80,000, depending on his family size, and still be considered low income here, unfortunately, in San Diego.
That's very beneficial information that you shared. Thanks, Ina. Cole, do you have any advice or tips that you want to add to what Ina shared with us today?
Not necessarily to add on to what she said, but I want to just say what some of the others had said before. Try again. We try to get as many people to bid on our solicitations that we post on Planet Bids. So unfortunately, often it takes a few times for people to get an opportunity with us. But we always want new vendors to come in. We're looking to make sure that everybody's involved and that we also get the lowest price and the best services. So we've had times where vendors tried many times unsuccessfully, and it just takes one time to get your foot in the door. So some of those vendors have done very, very well for us, and so we encourage everybody to try multiple times if the first time isn't successful.
I did have a question, just because you mentioned that you encourage them to try and try again. Similar to, I believe it was what Shirley mentioned, does the commission offer feedback for any solicitations? Yes,
of course. There's always going to be a contact that you can reach out to on each solicitation. So if you get a notification that your proposal or your bid was unsuccessful, please reach out to us. We always have lots of feedback to get or to give. We always collect notes on scoring, and are always willing to give tips on how to submit bids, any kind of corrections or notes that they had. We're always willing to give those out. So please reach out to us.
Great. That's really great information. Thank you, Cole. Thank you, Ina. Alma, is there any questions that either of them can answer from the audience?
Sure. Actually, one question just came in, and it's a good one, considering that y'all are doing so much construction work on so many housing projects here in our county. So does the commission have construction inspection contracts?
Yes, we do. So we have a variety of inspections that we do, whether it's a physical needs assessment or every once in a while we have kind of scheduled REAC inspections that our property management team does. Those are almost always posted on Planet Bids. I think we had one recently that was on Planet Bids, and I'm sure there's more to come. So if you register there, as I said before, it's the best opportunity to get your foot in the door with us. We're always looking for new people, and that's certainly a need.
All right, excellent. Ryan, that should answer your question about inspection contracts. And it's great to hear, Cole, that it's not just one contract for all inspections, that there's multiple contracts that could be put out for inspection services, depending on the inspection needs that the Housing Commission has.
Yeah, correct. Even physical needs assessments. We may get a contract in place that has certain sites listed under it, and then a few months later, we may put another contract in place. We try to get everything under contract, and we try to make sure everybody has a chance to get involved.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Well, it looks like those are all the questions we have for the San Diego Housing Commission. Folks, if you have any other follow-up questions, please make sure to reach out to Cole or to Ina. Their information will be posted on the chat as well. Thank you so much, you two, and back to you, Maisel.
All right. Thank you, Ina. Thank you, Cole. Thank you, Alma. I would like to introduce our next panelist. We have Cheryl Brown with the Small Business Development Center. Because she is so infamous, I'd like to give her the opportunity to present her services for SBDC. Hi, Cheryl.
Hi, everybody. Well, thank you so much for inviting us to be part of this fair. Again, I can't believe it's been 17 years. Time sure does fly. So I wanted to present, rather than just kind of give you a regurgitation of what we do and who we are. I wanted to make it a little bit more pertinent to the attendees here. So let's see, am I doing? Here we go. Hopefully everybody can see my screen here. Bottom line is, how can we help you? We are here to support your efforts at no cost to you as you try to pursue opportunities with all of these different agencies. And so how we can help, first of all, I have 3 guarantees, and I usually don't like to give guarantees, but if you're looking at pursuing opportunities with any one of these agencies, with the prime contractors, you're going to need a plan, you're going to need money, and you're going to need to market your business. Those are the 3 most important things that you can do as you are pursuing opportunities with the various agencies and prime contractors. So first and foremost, so you want to do business with Caltrans, SANDAG, San Diego Housing Commission, the Port of San Diego. All right, how are you going to do that? Why do you want to do that? You want to identify, answer all those questions. What are the steps you need to take? One of those steps might be to get registered in their system. Another step might be to get certified. How are you going to do this? And more importantly, how are you going to be successful when you're awarded contract? And so I know that many of us look at planning as kind of a waste of time. Planning is what you do to ensure the success. But you don't have to do it alone, because we have advisors with the SBDC, Small Business Development Center, over 100 advisors in our network that can help you put together a strategic plan. Not this theory-based plan where you do research and whatnot, really kind of like, all right, what do you want to do? Well, I want to sell my services to SANDAG. Alrighty, why? Well, I don't know. Our advisors can kind of help you identify the why, the what, and most importantly, the how. Once you've identified the how, then those advisors can then refer you to other advisors and other specialists, as well as other resources like PTAC, SCORE, SBA. You'll be hearing from PTAC in a little bit. But we can refer you out to the resources that can help you for free. The other thing I can guarantee you, you're going to need money. One of the obstacles that many small businesses face when trying to do business with the government agencies, whether it be federal, state, or local, as well as the prime contractors, is cash flow. See, you're gonna need to float the cost of that project you were just awarded between performance, invoicing, and payment. In a perfect world, maybe net 30, more realistically, net 45, even net 90. And that is from approved invoice. So you're going to need some money in order to float the cost. So how much are you going to need? Get it. Please, please, please do not fall for any of those predatory lending practices that say no credit needed. We'll guarantee you funding in 24 hours. I'll tell you right now, they might guarantee you funding, but you're going to pay 30, 40, even sometimes 50% interest. So how much do you need? Where are you going to get it? How are you going to get it? What is your credit score? If you've been in business for less than 2 years, you're going to be reliant on your personal credit score. So what is that credit score? Are there some issues or some things that are not so great? That's okay. At least we know. Oh, there's that P word again. What is your plan? So when you go to a lending institution, they're going to want to know, what is your plan for this money? If we're going to give you $100,000, what are you going to use it for? Oh, and by the way, we want to see the financial statements that back that up. We want to see your tax returns, both personal and business, in your projections. You're going to populate all of these monies into these fancy Excel spreadsheets to give those projections so that the lending institution can say, okay, yeah, this is justified. Please do not tap into your 401ks, your home equity, your children's college fund, because the lending institutions want to see that you have the reserves to pay off any monies you borrow, regardless of what happens. So I know this is kind of a lot. And this is the stuff that really can tie up some small businesses. The good news is, though, is we have funding advisors and resources that can help you identify how much you're going to need, help you to develop your financial statements, help you to improve your credit. Again, going back to the plan, helping you with that, helping you develop these projections, all of these things. So you don't have to do it alone. But I'm telling you, you are going to need money, and you want to start this process sooner rather than later. Now, all of these documents and everything that you're pulling together for here, if you're like in the construction trades, you're going to need to increase your bonding as well. So all of this work you're doing is going to benefit you on both ends. And the final guarantee, you have to market. It doesn't start with just the first impression, which is super important, but it really happens with the follow-up. See, every single one of these agencies and prime contractors wants to do business with you. That's why they make this investment to have these events, meet the buyers, meet the primes, expos. They want to do business with you, but they can't. And the only reason why they can't is A, they don't know you exist, which comes to the number one aspect of marketing is name recognition. They're not going to remind or recognize you or remember you in that first impression. Okay, I lied. They will remember you, but there's going to be two reasons why they'll remember you. Either you're uppercase VIP, very important person, or a lowercase VIP, very irritating person. Remember, these are people that you're talking to. These are your potential customers. So you want to make sure that you're making a good impression each and every time. Creating an open dialogue. This step is so important to build rapport and to build trust. Agencies and prime contractors want to know that you can perform. And the way they learn that is through that open dialogue. Ultimately, if you master name recognition, you master open dialogue, the revenues will come. But it does take time. Marketing tends to be a real struggle for a lot of small businesses because it takes so much time. But that's okay, because we have advisors that can help you at no cost to you with your plan, with your marketing, from helping you identify funding opportunities, developing a capability statement. We can even help you draft and write your proposals, all at no cost to you. So I know, free, no way, Jose. Our services are at no cost to you, but all of our advisors are compensated. We are professional advisors. We receive funding from a number of different organizations, such as the Small Business Administration, the State of California Department of General Services, State of California Go Biz, SANDAG, Clark Construction, Turner Construction, SDG&E, San Diego Regional Airport Authority. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. All of these entities provide us with the money, let's call it what it is, the money, so that we can provide these services at no cost to you, the small business community. Although, yeah, nothing in life is free, you're right. You do have to do the work. We'll be there every way to navigate and help you and guide you and support you. But ultimately, you got to do the work. So we can provide no-cost support, whether it be through live trainings. We have a whole on-demand series for government contracting. We have virtual trainings. We do one-on-one advising in every single area you could possibly need support in. Like I said, we have over 100 advisors here in our network. And that's not including all of the other resource partners that are available to you. For more information, to find out all of the resources available to you, you can go to our website, sdivfc.org. sbdc.org. It stands for San Diego Imperial Valley Small Business Development Center.org. With that being said, I'm open to take questions.
Thank you, Cheryl. It's so beneficial to, it's always a pleasure listening to you present because you've laid out in such a foundation for any small business owner at any level to understand. And I appreciate that. I would encourage everyone to continually watch her presentations because even myself, just going into the role newly, it helps you understand how it works. And it's definitely a benefit, I can say. Thank you, Cheryl.
Yeah, and it's not theory based. I mean, some of it's not pretty. I'm here to tell you the dirt, which is nice because as a support of Caltrans and SANDAG and the other agencies and prime contractors, one of the reasons why they partner with us and allow us to be here is because we're not employed by the agency. So we can kind of tell you the dirt and like the reality of, okay, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do this, because they can't do that because that would give you an unfair advantage, but we can. So, helping people write proposals. Right now we're helping a client will write a proposal for the city of San Diego. And so we're able to do that where obviously the city of San Diego can't.
That's definitely beneficial. I know I refer a lot of our small businesses looking for that type of help to SBDC or PTAC. So let's go ahead and see if Alma, is there any questions that Cheryl can answer from the audience today?
As expected, Cheryl is very thorough in her presentations. So I imagine that's why we don't have any questions just yet. But I do also want to reiterate that SBDC is a great partner to all of the public agencies. They help us out so much. We refer folks to them all the time. Whenever there's a business that we're like, wow, this person is great. They just, they need a few more public project experience to get pre-qualified for one of our contracts or anything like that. We refer them back to SBDC because they're so great at connecting the dots and kind of building up some of those smaller companies to eventually work with a bigger public agency. Also, what I really do appreciate about the SBDC is that, for example, with us, we could say, hey, we need you to do a little bit more experience, gain a little bit more experience. Y'all are good at saying, hey, San Diego Unified wants to work with you, but you need to build up. Start with this agency because you know us all so well and you know the sizes of our projects. You all have really done a great job for that type of direction. So just want to thank you for that. There is a question that just came in, and it's actually a great question. FIDA asks, do I need to be in San Diego to get your services? They are a company in Temecula, close to San Diego. We know a lot of folks do that commute. And so they're actually in Riverside County. So does someone have to be in San Diego County to get, for example, to work with you, Cheryl?
Not at all. Because one of the benefits that we've been able to overcome or see with the pandemic is our ability to be as effective virtually. So you no longer have to come into our office and drive all the way to San Diego. We can help anybody that needs support, regardless of where they're located. I would recommend, though, is also reaching out to your local resources because Riverside has an SBDC, also a PTAC. So in addition to getting the support wherever you need to get it, reach out to your local resources as well. Not all SBDCs have a procurement program. We just happen to be unique in that. And so reach out to your local resources as well. But I don't care where you are. I will do whatever I can to help you win a contract. That's on me. That's my job.
Excellent. Thank you, Cheryl. And what you say actually brings up a good point. If you're doing a lot of business primarily in San Diego, it makes sense to reach out to the SBDC or the PTAC in San Diego, but you might want to also reach out to your regional local SBDC or PTAC office because they might have other services that might be beneficial to you. So why not reach out to both of them, especially right now while we are currently in this climate of, virtual engagement. It's a perfect time to get involved with, folks that you may not necessarily get involved with because of distance. Excellent. Well, those are all the questions, or the only question that we have so far. If anyone has any other questions, you have Cheryl's email address, as well as the SBDC website that also has a lot of information as well. That's it for questions. Thank you, Cheryl, and back to you, Maisel.
Thank you, Alma. Thank you, Cheryl. And last but not least, since we are talking a little bit about PTAC, I'd like to introduce Brett Householder with the Procurement Technical Assistance Center. Hi, Brett. Welcome.
Hi, myself. Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here.
I'm happy to have you here. So they did kind of segue a little bit into PTAC. They name dropped you a few times. So I wanted to see if you wanted to introduce yourself, talk about what you do for PTAC, and explain a little bit about what PTAC is and does.
Sure. So my name's Brett Householder. I'm the regional director for our program, and we have one of the longest names in history. So I'll give you the official name. We are the San Diego, Orange, and Imperial Procurement Technical Assistance Center. We just go by PTAC for short because it's a lot easier. As the regional director for the program, I handle a lot of the behind the scenes administrative stuff to keep the program running, our budgets, all of our performance reporting we do, but none of that really matters to the small businesses as long as they understand what the PTAC does, which is basically, I love going after Cheryl because she describes SBDC services so well. And then I get to come in at the end and say, yeah, we're kind of the same thing. We offer a lot of the similar types of services, but here's the big difference. SBDC, they're amazing. I always tell small businesses, basically any question you have about running a small business, go to the SBDC. They have somebody on their team that can help you with that. Our program, while we are also a free resource for small businesses, we have a very specific focus. So we only help with government contracting related assistance. We have several resources we can provide. And like Cheryl mentioned, the way we're funded, we're allowed to, or we're able to provide those services free of charge. And we do have one third service that I'll talk about in a few minutes that has a fee attached to it. But just remember, we're a free resource for small businesses. We help out with getting involved in government contracting, whether that's with one of the members of the public agency consortium that you've heard from today, or if it's somebody from a department from the state of California. If it's the federal government, we have resources to provide tools and assistance at all levels of government contracting. So that's an overview of what we do, but as we talk, I'll get into a lot more detail about the specific services we provide.
Okay, perfect. Because you did mention small businesses a lot. Is that your only customer, or is that who's your customer base?
Well, so for our funding, what we report on is how many small businesses we work with, how much counseling time we spend with them, how many contracts they win, the dollar value of those contracts. So our main customer certainly is small businesses, but we also partner with local agencies all around San Diego. And in a way, you could say that our customers are also these government agencies. Some of them provide us with direct funding for our programs. Some of them are sponsors, but we essentially help bridge the gap between the small business community and public agencies. So if a public agency has a lack of a certain type of qualified vendor for a certain project, they can come to us and say, hey, do you have any clients in your database that provide these services? We have an opportunity we think they might be interested in. We can send that out to the right clients and make sure that connection is made. So our focus always is the small business and helping them grow and succeed and learn the difficult process of contracting. But we do serve a lot of other, if you want to call them, quote, customers in the public agency universe by helping get them connected with our clients.
Got it. Thank you so much for clarifying that. You did touch a little bit on your services. If you wanted to explain the remaining two categories you're talking about. Yeah,
absolutely. So we provide three core services. And again, remember, this is strictly government contracting related, which is why you're at the Caltrans Procurement Fair. So we do workshops and webinars. Most of what we're doing right now still is being done virtually. We host networking events, meet the buyers events, and basically we have a lot of different topics related to government contracting that somebody on our team presents. And that might be the monthly class we do every month on Are You Ready for Government Contracting, which is kind of the broad overview if you're just getting started. We have workshops on marketing to government agencies, creating a capability statement, which we've heard about a couple times already, reviewing a proposal and preparing a response to an RFP. So we have all these topics that we present. Then we also work with our partner agencies from around San Diego and sometimes from around the country if they're with the federal agency. And they present specifically on how to do business with their agency. And I'm pretty sure throughout the year, all of the PAC members at some point join us to do a presentation on how to do business with their agency specifically. We have some that we do on a regular basis quarterly. Essentially, we offer a lot of workshops on our own topics. We offer a lot of workshops presented by outside agencies. And the main goal is hopefully in that course of an hour and a half or 2 hours, you learn something of value. Obviously, you want to get something that you can take away from that and say, okay, that was useful. But there's a good chance, let's use certifications as an example. That's one of the workshops we do every other month. And you've already heard, I don't even know how many acronyms we've listed today of different types of certifications that these agencies look for. We have a 2-hour class where we give you a real quick overview of all of the most important ones. But I guarantee you at the end of that 2 hours, you're going to walk out or log out of the webinar thinking, okay, I might qualify for these 3 certifications. And I kind of know essentially what's required to be eligible for them. I think I understand where I go to do the application, but I'm not quite sure of all the paperwork that I need. So if you attend one of our workshops or webinars and you have follow-up questions, which you certainly will, because an hour and a half to 2 hours on any topic is not going to be enough to make you an expert. You can sign up for counseling. Just like Cheryl mentioned, with their team of over 100 advisors, we're much smaller. We have a 5-person advising team that covers San Diego, Orange, and Imperial County. 2 full-time counselors, 3 part-time counselors, and they have a wide variety of experience on government contracting. Some of them have worked in the federal government as contracting officers. Some of them have had small businesses in the past that have worked in government contracting. So there's a lot of really relevant, useful expertise on our team. And essentially, you can sign up for counseling, set up a one-on-one session, available 5 days a week, and we can sit down with you, go through things in more detail, one-on-one, help you understand, okay, so these are the 3 certifications. You're right that you do qualify. Here's where we go to fill them out. Here's all the paperwork we need, and we can review these applications with you, make sure they're all completely comprehensive and done as well as they possibly can be. And I'm just using that as an example. For our counseling services, you can come in with any sort of question related to selling to the government, and there's a good chance someone on our team is going to be able to help you out. So essentially, the workshops, webinars, and the counseling, those are what we do 95% of the time when we're assisting small businesses. And those are completely free of charge. You will never be asked to pay a fee for our counseling. You will never ask to be paid or to pay a fee to attend a webinar. With the way we're funded from the federal government and the state of California and from our local sponsors, we provide those services free of charge. We do have 1/3 service that has a small fee attached to it. I want to make sure I'm very clear that there is no requirement to sign up for this service if you want to become a PTAC client. It's completely optional, but it's called bid matching. And essentially what bid matching does is we set up a search profile for your small business. We put in keywords related to the work you do. We put in industry codes. You heard from a couple of our presenters about NAICS codes and things like that. So we put those in the search profile. We tell it geographically where to search. If you have a product or a service that you can provide anywhere in the country, it will look at up to 2,000 websites on a daily basis. And what it does is it basically takes this search profile, goes out to these websites, finds anything that has relevant information in the bid opportunity compared to what's in your search profile, grabs it, sends you a daily email with a summary list of new opportunities to look for. And essentially, it's just a huge time saver. For a lot of small businesses, once they grow to the point of expanding a little bit, this might become someone's full-time job where they're out scanning websites for opportunities. A lot of small businesses don't have that time to commit one person to just a full-time job of looking for opportunities. So this basically does that work for you and makes it a lot quicker and easier to review relevant opportunities. So it does have a small fee attached to it. It's $199 annually, so less than $200 a year. We hope that's not too prohibitive. And essentially, what we'll do is we'll set up the profile, turn it on for 30 days. And after that month, if you're not seeing any search results or bid opportunities that are a good fit for you, you can just let us know, hey, I'm not interested in receiving these anymore. We'll turn it off after that first month and we won't worry about the fee. So it is an optional service we provide. I think it's a very valuable service for the low amount of investment it takes and the amount of time it saves businesses, but it's not required to be a client. And it does have that trial period where you can see if you even want to keep going with it. So essentially, that is our program in a nutshell. Just know that we are here. We are available for assisting your small business without charging. If you were to go find a private consultant to do some of this similar stuff, you'd be paying in the range of hundreds of dollars an hour. I do want to mention one thing because I know Cheryl got a question from a small business located in Riverside County earlier. We are specifically funded to help businesses in the 3 counties in our name, San Diego, Orange, and Imperial. However, and Cheryl mentioned this as well, the good news is there are PTACs all over the state, all over the country. So if you're not located in one of those counties, there is somewhere nearby a similar program to ours that does pretty much the exact same things we do. So if you are interested in working with a PTAC and you're outside of that service area, just let me know and I can get you in touch with the PTAC in your area that helps. I'm sorry, Marcel, that was a really long answer, but
No, that's fine. It's actually a lot of beneficial information. I know it's a presentation that you'll probably take an hour to do that you condense into like 10 minutes. So it's very, very beneficial. So thank you for those key points. I did want to ask, you talk about these workshops and counseling and the bid match opportunity. Where does a company go to sign up for it or to register for a workshop or even check out that trial BidNet opportunity?
Yeah, so we have a couple links and I see one that's already in the chat, but our website has everything you need to work with us and to sign up for counseling and webinars. So our homepage, we'll get that in the chat in a minute, has a menu bar just like any website you've ever seen. And one of the menu items is our upcoming events calendar where we post not only stuff that we're hosting or participating in, but our partners will send us stuff all the time about, hey, could you just put this on your community events website or webpage? And we do that as well. So we have a community calendar and an events calendar. And the events calendar is where all of our workshops are. So if you're interested in attending one presented by our team or a doing business with workshop by one of our agency partners, they'll be listed on that calendar. There's also a section on the website called application where you just fill out some information to get in our system so that we can schedule you for a counseling appointment. One question we get fairly often is in the application process, why we have to ask so much detailed information about the business, the ownership, the financials, all of that, is one of the ways we get our funding is we have to track a lot of data and report on it to all of our funding partners on what types of businesses we assist, what types of individuals own those businesses, and what types of financial numbers these businesses have and whether they qualify as a small business, large business, et cetera. 99% of our clients are small businesses. But essentially everything's available on our website, and there is a general email address that is monitored by several people on our team that we will also put in the chat. So if you have follow-up questions, that would be the best one, just to make sure that that gets to as many people on our teams as possible, because I would be the first person to admit I don't always catch every single email I get. So having that address that goes to a lot of people on our team is a much better chance of getting a quick response. So we'll put all of those links in there, but essentially any questions you have about signing up or attending webinars, it's all done through our website.
So given that PTAC specializes in government contracting, for our audience today that is trying to navigate through government contracting, what are your best tips and advice for those that haven't gotten into a government contract yet, but is looking to get there?
Okay, so I could answer this question any number of ways, and I could do the boring answer of, well, let's try to make sure if you're getting into contracting, you've had a couple of years of experience. That's always a big one. It's not the most fun answer if someone's brand new and they want to get in right away, and then I tell them, well, without a couple of years of experience, it's a lot harder. But the truth is, the government looks for businesses that have experience. If it comes down to awarding a contract to someone who's been doing something for 20 years, versus someone who has never had a contract and just started last summer, they're going to be much more comfortable awarding to the company with the experience. So general rule of thumb, 1 to 2 years in business is kind of a good benchmark for having the experience ready to get in government contracting. Because one of the things they will evaluate you on any proposal pretty much all of the time is past performance. And if you have no past performance, doesn't mean you're not qualified to do it. You might have the newest up and coming company in your industry that's going to be a giant someday. But from the start, without being able to show that you've done it successfully, it's a little bit harder to get into contracting. So building up that private sector experience is a big thing. Having access to capital, which is where the SBDC can be a huge help, and searching for loans or other financing options for contracts. It's always a good idea just to make sure that you have a little bit of cash flow and capital on hand to cover expenses for a couple months, because contracts are rather infamously slow to pay. And it's just the result of the payment process that you have to go through with these agencies. You're not going to get all of the time, you're not going to get prompt payment right away. So having some financing in place to cover you until that payment, that's important too. But really the biggest piece of advice I would give, and this is hopefully not going to seem too simplified or oversimplified, but the biggest thing, if you're just getting started as a small business, have patience and be persistent. Go into it with the expectation of there is a learning curve to the government contracting process, and it is not, well, it is very rare that your first try on winning a contract will result in an award. And that's just the nature of it with small businesses. It takes a while to get comfortable with the process. I'm not saying that the first time you bid on a project, you won't win it, but it's the exception to the rule, certainly. So being patient, being persistent, and since this is a presentation about our program, I would say also just take advantage of the resources that are available to you. SBDC, PTAC, SCORE, Women's Business Centers, they all have similar missions, but they all provide something specifically different that can benefit a small business. So if these resources are available and they're free, there's absolutely no reason a small business shouldn't be working with them on a regular basis to perfect their craft when it comes to government contract.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Brett, because I was just going to say, even though SBDC and PTAC, we have both of them today, there are so many organizations that are similar, such as SCORE. But it's always a good idea to sign up for all of the services amongst all the different organizations if it applies to you, just because they have a lot of different specialties, and might as well get a well-versed education from all the different specialties, I would say.
Yeah, and we're all essentially one big happy family that just has different budgets. And so if you come to me with a question and we can't help you, I'm pretty certainly going to know someone at a different resource partner program that can help you. So we refer people back and forth all the time.
All right, thank you, Brett. So I'd like to bring Alma back out to see if there's any questions that Brett can answer from the audience today.
Sure. And Brett, I'm glad that you ended it with the spirit of the big happy family, because I think some of these questions here are going to be, more relevant to maybe a little bit of sourcing, figuring out kind of where people fall. One of the questions from Patrick today was, where can someone get a small business? Where can they get assistance with website design? I know that we talked about marketing, and that kind of falls a little bit, maybe sort of in marketing. But yeah, just website design overall. Would that be something SBDC could help out with? Maybe PTAC or one of the other organizations?
Okay, so the answer is, if it's just generally building a website, I know the SBDC can help with that. In fact, I know one person that's located in the San Diego office that specifically can help with that. But I'm going to put a PTAC spin on this question as well, because as you're building your website, and this is actually a great question, I love it. You're going to probably be putting content on there that markets to anybody. You obviously want to market to every potential customer you have. And private sector customers are not going to care about the same type of information that public agencies care about. So if you design your website from a private sector perspective, which everybody does, you might overlook the idea that, well, hey, if we want to get into government contracting, we should put at least a section of this website devoted to our potential government customers. Mm-hmm. And that's where, and I don't mean this as an insult, but that's where all of the boring government information would be, that's where it would live on your website. We're talking about things like a DUNS number. It's a 9-digit code that identifies your company. Private sector customers are never going to, well, I shouldn't say ever, but almost never going to care about what your DUNS number is. A private sector customer is not going to ask what your NAICS codes are. A lot of private sector customers aren't going to ask what certifications you have, but that information is vital to have available if a government agency does just happen to stumble upon your website. Because I talk to these people all the procurement staff at agencies all the time about how they do market research. And a lot of times they rely on someone reaching out to them directly, and that's great. but a lot of times they'll just get on Google and do a Google search for something and just start reviewing small business websites to see if they look like they're a potential fit. So as you design your website, I would start off with SBDC if you're starting from square one and just building a website. But when it gets to that point where you want to maybe add some information on procurement related topics to your website, we can help not build that part of the website for you, but we can certainly help you design and think about exactly what content you want there.
Excellent. Yeah, you know, that boring government contract information that I always look for is definitely CSLB license, DIR registration, NAICS codes or specialty scope, you know, described.
You're basically going to have a section of your website that just looks like website code because it's just going to look like a bunch of acronyms.
Because it's all the numbers that we need, right?
Yeah.
And all the certifications. That's always really helpful for me. And I found that, yeah, it's helpful when I have a page that has everything. And I imagine you've given that advice to other companies because I've seen it in some other web pages for small businesses where folks have all that information all, you know, laid out in one page for us government.
Yeah, and we have that workshop we do on capability statements, and we've talked about those a few times. This is essentially taking what's on that document and just putting it on your website.
All right, excellent. We do have one question from Horatio. He would like to know whether your search engine also identifies technology opportunities like mainframe code modernization.
So the bid match searches basically will pull anything that matches what's in the profile. So if we put a bunch of codes related to that type of thing in there, if we put a bunch of keywords related to it in there, it would pull opportunities. But the important thing to understand is it's going to be searching websites. And if you're at all interested, there's a link I can dig up if you want it to show you what websites it searches on a daily basis. But it's going to be all public agencies, whether it's federal governments, state governments, local agencies that post contract opportunities. So if there's a contract opportunity posted on one of those sites that it searches and it matches what we put in your profile, then it will grab it. I hope I understood that question correctly, and I hope that was a good answer. So Horatio, if you need more clarification on that, let me know.
All right. Yeah, he says, thank you very much. So assume that that question was answered perfectly. Those are all the questions that we have for you today, Brett. Thank you so much. Always a pleasure chatting with you. Back to you, Maisel.
Thanks, Alma.
Thank you, Brett, and thank you, Alma. That was very beneficial information. So on the next slide here on the screen is the contact information for all of our participating PAC members in this afternoon's session. So we'll pause here for a moment. If you'd like to take a screenshot of the slide, please do so now. But for those who have joined us late, we are recording this session and it will be available on our website shortly after the conclusion of our 3-day event. And a copy of today's presentation will be provided via email to all of those that are in attendance. Before we conclude this afternoon's event, I would like to bring back Maria to say some closing remarks.
Thank you, Maisel. Wow, that's a lot of good information. So please capture all that contact information on the screen. You may need it later. So wanted to thank you all again for joining us in this afternoon's Public Agency Consortium session. I would like to thank all our PAC members again for participating in this event and providing relevant information. And I also would like to give a special thank you to Alma Banuelos, Karen Linehan, and our behind-the-scene tech expert, Sydney Hucklebridge-Key from our partners from the San Diego Unified School District, again for assisting us with this event's logistics and for providing technical support. I want to thank all the attendees joining us today. It was a good 2 hours of this session this afternoon, so we hope you found this information beneficial to you and your company. Let's see. The next one would be hope to catch you in tomorrow's sessions. We will be providing our construction focused session in the morning featuring our panel of construction primes, hazard construction, granite construction, and Skanska USA Civil West, as well as architecture and engineering focused session in the afternoon featuring our panel from our A&E Primes, TRC Engineering, Kimley Horn, Jacobs, Kleinfelder, and AECOM. So if you have not registered for tomorrow's sessions, please, we will be sending you the link to register in the chat box. That'll be available to you. Please register soon. And once you close out this session, you will be prompted with our post-event survey. Please take time to fill out this survey, and this will allow us to improve our district's future events. All resources, like Maisel mentioned earlier, that was discussed today by our PAC partners will be shared with those in attendance, along with the recording of this session shortly after the conclusion of our 3-day event. If you have any questions until then, please reach us out to our small business team at d11.smallbusiness@dot.ca.gov. You all have a wonderful day. Thank you.